Hello everyone. My name is Tabitha Ramos, and this is a community-based organization change project in Social Work 677, and the organization that I chose is Pregnancy and Postpartum Support, Minnesota. So I would like to present as if presenting to the Board of Pregnancy and Postpartum Support, Minnesota. As you are aware, the mission of Pregnancy and Postpartum Support Minnesota is to engage Minnesota parents and professionals in promoting optimal emotional well-being during pregnancy and the postpartum period. And a little bit later in this presentation, we will talk a little more about how you do that and what that means to you. Although you do not have your own vision statement, you fully support the vision statement of Pregnancy Support International, which is that every woman and family worldwide will have access to information, social support, and informed professional care to deal with mental health issues related to childbearing. And I know that you do fully support this vision, and you do that through a number of ways, such as advocacy and collaboration, and by educating and training the professional community, as well as the public, on issues that affect pregnant women and postpartum women who are dealing with mental health issues, and also assisting their family and friends. You are offering a number of programs. The main program that you offer is the helpline. And the helpline is a warm line for both pregnant women, postpartum women, their families, their friends, or anyone who needs support or is in need of mental health resources or medical resources. It could be a wide spectrum of resources for women who are in pregnancy or postpartum. When anyone calls that helpline, they are going to receive a call back from a mental health professional within 24 hours of making that call, which is just, I think, a wonderful program that supports women during this time. And when they make that call and they get their call back, they might also be linked to peer support. So you all have a pool of 30 volunteers, many of whom have experienced these issues themselves and are well versed in providing that type of support. Pregnancy and Postpartum Support Minnesota, you guys also build community connections through networking events, engagement opportunities, and training. So you train both professionals that deal with pregnant and postpartum women as well as the community members themselves, which I think is a very valuable service. The change project that I would like to see you implement is to develop a strategic plan. Right now, you do not have a strategic plan. And I spoke with several staff, including Mandy Wanaker, Helpline Director, who informed me that there's no current multi-year plan in place. You all do meet once a year and talk about a direction, but you don't sit down and put anything in writing and develop any measurable objectives. So right now, the approach that you're using could be considered an incremental approach, but organizations that use this approach need to understand that even though that's flexible and open and it's a good start, it's not considered a strategy. So why do you need a strategic plan? A strategic plan allows a nonprofit to reaffirm its mission. So it will help you reach the population that you're trying to reach by making sure that your mission is reaffirmed and that you're focusing on that mission and you're accomplishing that mission. It also lets the board members engage in furthering the mission while implementing measurable goals. And it's just so important because it produces a process. It produces a plan. And it works. It just works. So the evidence shows that the use of strategic planning is widely supported. Several studies have been conducted, and what they found is that organizations, both public and nonprofit organizations that have a strategic plan, have at least a minimum of moderately positive results. And in fact, most organizations have significantly positive results from the implementation of a strategic plan. So where are we now? Right now, the organization has had goals in place, but no measurable objectives, no plan. So I do understand that you all have met. You meet once a year. You have 6 board members who are all in director positions. And you meet, my understanding of it is that you meet monthly to just go over the day-to-day operations and communicate any issues that you've had, but you only meet once a year to talk about direction. And you've come up with some goals. For example, in 2019, your focus was on building opportunities to connect with underserved and underrepresented populations with respect to diversity. However, when I talked to you about this service to diverse clients in 2020, you said that this is something that you're still trying to work on. So you still have an issue with that. So you weren't able to produce any positive outcomes for your efforts of trying to meet your outreach goals for more diverse clients. And it's important that you understand that, you know, it was a very worthy, very noble goal, but you just weren't able to connect with that underserved and underrepresented population like you wanted to and produce measurable performance results. Then in 2020, you were focusing on improving accessibility and usability of your website. And so far, you haven't been able to produce any written concrete steps for doing that. So again, a noble goal. I think it's an excellent idea, but you do want to try to plan a little better to make sure that you meet that goal and can have some outcomes that you can show to clients and donors. So where do you need to start if you're going to develop a strategic plan? Well, there's several steps involved. The first thing you want to do is plan your planning. So you want to talk about who's going to be involved in that planning. And of course, you have your 6 board members. Does anyone else need to be involved? How often do you need to meet? When do you need to meet? What kind of agenda do you need to have when you meet? What's your timeline for completing your strategic plan? When you do come together, you want to refine the organization's mission, vision, and values. So talk about what those are and how you've reaffirmed them so far and how you're going to continue to reaffirm them. Or do you need to change anything with respect to that? You're going to complete a thorough assessment of your situation right now. You're going to look at the external versus the internal. And we're going to talk a little bit more later in this presentation about how you do that. And then you're going to determine the problems that you need to solve. So you've already talked about how you want to reach more diverse clients and how that's important to you and how you want to work on your website. But you can get more into the meat and bones of those issues and talk about why they need to be solved. What can you do to solve them? And that's where you really get into setting the goals, strategies, and objectives. And of course, once you've moved through all of these steps, you want to put the plan in writing. So a good multi-year plan in writing that talks about what you're going to do, what your goals are, what your measurable objectives are, who will do what. And once again, we'll talk about a little bit more of that in a moment. So how to begin? A good place to begin is with a SWOT analysis. And what a SWOT analysis does is it assesses the organization internally. So it looks at your strengths and weaknesses, and you really want to talk about what are you doing well? What's going right for the organization? And then you'll want to get into what is a weakness for you? What does everybody agree that you need to work on? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to assess externally the opportunities and threats. So for that, you may look at what opportunities are out there. For example, with meeting more diverse clients and doing that outreach, what opportunities are out there for that? What events are out there for that? What groups could you partner with? What kind of training is needed? Is cultural development needed? What is needed to really get that opportunity? And then the threats. What is going on in your community or your organization that would threaten your ability to meet that goal? So what is going on now with your organization versus what can be? So for you right now, for the last 2 years specifically, you have stated 2 goals, but you yourself acknowledge that you haven't had success with even meeting the first goal, that it's an issue and that you still want to work on it, and there's not a clear direction for how to work on it and how to develop those performance outcomes. And then your second goal, which is to update the website and make it more usable and accessible, you don't have a clear direction for that either. Both of these are very noble goals, and I think they're great, but you need to develop some measurable objectives. So what you want to do is you want to develop what we call SMART objectives. SMART objectives are objectives that support the goals and provide more information, and specifically they answer who's going to do what when. So essentially they need to be specific, related to a certain task. They need to be measurable. You need to be able to quantify them with a date, an outcome, and whose responsibility will it be. They need to be attainable. They need to be able to be completed within the time prescribed. So you really need to ask yourself, can we do this? Is this a manageable goal that we can actually complete and take some concrete steps towards achieving? They need to be results oriented. So you're going to focus on the short term. What can we do now that will enhance your long-term efforts? And they need to be time determined. You need to figure out, when is this going to get done by? and that really does help. So let's talk about some examples. In 2019, as we said before, you stated that you wanted to increase your outreach to underserved populations, especially with respect to diverse clients. So while that's very worthy, you did not come up with a measurable objective. So what could that look like? One example would be that all staff and 1/4 of volunteer staff will attend a training on intercultural development by 6/15/20. So notice, staff, you all have a total of 9 staff on board with you. You have a pool of 30 volunteers. So you're saying who's going to do that? It's the staff and a portion of the volunteers. What are they going to do? Going to attend a training on intercultural development, and when are they going to do it? So by 6/15/2020. And such a measurable objective could help you in starting that process of reaching those more diverse clients. Another example, in 2020, you state that you would like to increase the usability and accessibility of your website. So once again, I think that's a great goal, but we need to come up with those measurable objectives that we talked about. So I came up with a couple of examples for that. So one way to do that would be that the board will hire a website design consultant to upgrade the website to state-of-the-art capabilities by 1/15/2021. So you want to, once again, say who's going to do it? The board. What are they going to do? They're going to hire a consultant. When are they going to do it? By January 2021. So, when you get together and you get ready to create your strategic plan, you're going to want to talk about that. And you're going to want to talk about whether or not it's feasible to do that. Is it in the budget to be able to do that? But that's just an example. Second, a sample objective that I came up with was that the helpline director would install some analytics to measure the website traffic by June 30th, 2021. And I think that's, once again, we say who's going to do it, what are they going to do, when will it get done? So it's very measurable. And in addition, an objective such as that would help you evaluate some of your outcome. Once you have redesigned that website, you want to measure that traffic and find out who is coming to the website, how often are they coming to the website, are they bouncing back off the website, are they staying on? And I think that will really help you figure out if you've met that initial goal that you had to increase usability and accessibility of your website. So I have shared some references and resources with you all, and I hope that you found this presentation helpful, and I hope that you will consider the use of a strategic plan. Thank you very much.